drag that keyboard on the keyboard.
Honorable guest lecturer, our esteemed faculty, my dear residents. Good afternoon, dear residents. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Psychiatry, Shri Guru Ramdas Institute, I would like to welcome Dr. Roshan Fernandez, Associate Professor and Resident in Charge CIP Raj, as our very first guest lecturer on the topic, Behavioral Addiction of Crime. We are grateful for this opportunity to have you here, sir, in our institute and enlighten us with your knowledge. I would firstly like to request Dr. Preeti ma'am to kindly present Dr. Roshan sir with a welcome token. Now I would like to call on the dais Dr. Shobhit Garg, Head of the Department and Professor, Department of Psychiatry, to give the opening remarks.
Well, thank you, Dr. Shani. It's my honor and pleasure to welcome Dr. Roshan. I found it, I'll call him Roshan. He was just joined after I joined CAP, and we bring here fond memories of the time we spent with each other, maybe 4 or 5 years together. And it was a very interesting journey in CAP. You know, when I was in CAP, he joined 1 year after me. Subsequently, I did my SRship there, and he was doing his MD. Then subsequently, when I did my MD, he was my SR there. So I'm now currently managing 102 residents in CAP. So I'm very academically sound and a very honest and straightforward person. None better than to grace us with this very interesting topic. And I would say our first guest lecturer here. Thank you. So I would, with these few words, I would like to welcome Dr. Roshan to actually give his presentation.
Right. Then good morning. Now, this topic is actually quite controversial and quite right to be discussed right now at this junction, because the DSM-5 and ICD and they have changed these things quite a bit, and the controversies still remain. And there are quite a bit of queries, apprehensions about how to go about with behavioral addictions and where to keep them. Whether we really need to keep them in the diagnosis systems, or if we keep them, what is the threshold, or which diagnosis do we need? So this is a preparation, a very personal one. Definitely, all rights are reserved. Then let us go ahead. So now it has been talked about as the current era and rising tide, and all the publications, probably newspaper articles, and the COVID has acted as oil to the fire, right? The COVID and the kids staying at home, using a lot of mobile phones. Mobile phones were prohibited few months back. Suddenly, family members were all happy, giving them those mobile phones in their hands, and they were attending college classes, school classes, on mobile phones. So then now it's quite muddled up. That leaves a lot of questions. Now the backstory, a bit of backstory. Now Isaac Marx gave exist this term, behavioral addiction, especially non-chemical. That was the thing that was talked about. Now, behavioral addiction has as repeated urges to engage in counterproductive behaviors. Now, it's counterproductive means that any behavior can be counterproductive, any behavior for that matter. So the umbrella is like sky. So anything can be there under that umbrella. Now, there comes few of the understandings henceforth. So what Marx talked about was mainly encompass OCD, gambling, overeating, hypersexuality, kleptomania. Then Griffiths said that the presence of all the following components in any behavioral or substance addiction. Salience is being very specific about or taking a lot of time to it. So mood modifications, tolerance, withdrawal symptoms, conflicts, relapse. So this comes under, as we do understand, the match patient of gambling and that is probably alcohol dependence. These are the things, the salience, the mood modifications, the tolerance, the withdrawal symptoms. The tolerance is not that sure when it comes to behavioral addictions, but substance, yeah, it does. The withdrawal symptoms again, we are not quite sure whether in behavioral addictions we have withdrawal symptoms or not. Now the conflicts and relapse, we do know about that. So, and what does the other some of the other researchers, Contessa said, the state of craving first precedes the behavior. There is poor control over the behavior and continued engagement despite negative consequences. Now, this has been stressed by Contessa. So, more or less, these people they talk about. If you say Marx was pretty narrow in his understanding. The rest are quite broad, very broad in their understanding. Now, in 2011, the American Society for Addiction Medicine it broadened the concept, and that has the effect on subsequent your DSM-5 that came in 13 and ICD-11 just now recently. So, what did they do? The change in the definition. They made the definition as inability to consistently abstain, impairment in behavioral control, I mean diminished recognition of significant problems with one's behavior and interpersonal relationships and a dysfunctional emotional response. So now again, they again quite you see that they're broadening it. They are including a lot of things that are not strictly related to substance and the withdrawal and the states related to it. So they are making it more of a, you see, if I can say they're making it more of a family and social thing than a personal thing. That's why the connotation of addiction comes in. But it's no more substance dependence. When you say substance dependence or dependence on substance, it's about an individual. When we say addiction, addiction becomes a family issue. Addiction becomes a social issue. Right. So impairing behavioral control, diminished recognition of significant problems with one's behavior, and stressing on interpersonal relationships and dysfunctional emotional response. Yeah, we do know that the dysfunctional emotional response is quite there in substance. But stressing on the relationships and the behavioral control, this is all widening this scope. This is what all widening this scope is. Now, frequency of publications. If you've seen, since these issues have been recognized, since the first publication and in the literature. These are the publications from pathological gambling, sex addiction, compulsive buying, internet addiction, internet gaming disorder, kleptomania. They are the major publications. Then the exercise addiction, the eating addiction, love addiction, who knows what love addiction is, but then it's talked about in the addiction. The people do miss a diagnosis. Given that it is very difficult to say, and where do we keep it? What makes love addiction? I was recently in a marriage. I don't know whether it was by love addiction, but still. So work addiction, yeah, addictions to social networking, using mobile phones and tanning. So tanning again doesn't fit in our culture, right? So very lovely had to change the name, but still it's for the parents. But when you go to European countries, and yeah, tanning is something that people choose. So even that has been talked about. So binge eating, pyromania, self-injurious behavior, orthorexia, addiction that is orthorexia. So muscle is the body lean and muscular in shape and symmetry and all those things. Dancing, studying, fortune telling, stock markets. I think everything under the rubric of human behavior, whether it is since probably centuries they have been doing, or newer behaviors that have been introduced because of probably globalization or internet use. So these behaviors have also been talked about. Now, DSM-5 included something, the rubric is now, where the term they use is that substance related and addictive disorder. Right. So gambling disorder that was previously classified as impulse control disorder, as we know. And that was also in recent ICD-10. And internet gaming disorder among conditions that has been listed in section 3, that is for the future studies and the investigations. Okay. So rest were dropped. So all these other disorders were dropped because of the poor evidence. There was no proper evidence. One, there was no consensus among the people those who made these things. Okay. So yeah, so we have gambling and internet gaming as something that probably they want to research more or get more evidence for. So it's more of a provisional thing. So now phenomena, there are heavy loaded phenomenological issues and questions in this area. Now, if you see, there is something called an impulsivity compulsivity spectrum, and I think the residents and the students who are sitting over here in front of me have heard about it. Now, Isaac talks about the behavioral addiction and the Hollander's OCRDs. Now, they have a significant overlap. So, what is the Isaac's thing was that the repeated urges to engage in counterproductivity. Okay, so it's more of an urge. And difficulty controlling or dealing repetitively. You understand what's written on the top of the screen, and seemingly the behavior might be the same, but the explanation might be totally different for an individual. For a gambler, gambling is repeated urge to engage in counterproductivity. Right. For a person who washes hands after feeling that they are dirty, is actually compelled to do it. He wants to control it, but he can't. Okay. So there, that urge gives more of a, at least initially it is pleasure. But here there is no pleasure. Here only relief once that those spots are not there and the behavior is not getting used. Okay, and in between these two probably swings, you have OCRDs, BDD, hypochondriasis, impulse control disorders, behavioral addictions, eating disorders, self-injurious behaviors, that is also called as BFRBs, body focus repetitive behaviors, personality disorders, and substance use disorders. So the range is huge. So, and all these disorders have been also talked about in behavioral addiction. Okay. All these disorders, and impulsive compulsive spectrum is more of a spectrum, and on that spectrum, various things, various disorders have been classified or clubbed under behavioral addiction. Now, this is a very important thing. So this is adapted from Hollander's presentation on Showmind platform in 2021. Now, he has talked about various disorders and where do they lie on that continuum. What is the probably the impulsivity component and the compulsivity component. Not that something the social PD doesn't have compulsivity. It doesn't say that. It says that probably if you say something is 99, then the other is wrong. Something like that. So they have mix of both. One is more, the other is less. Okay. So OCD is the classical compulsivity, the classical compulsivity. In the social BPD, they are the classical impulsivity. And all these disorders that have been talked in behavioral addiction, they fall somewhere in between, right? So substance addiction, compulsive sexual behaviors, pathological gambling, self-injurious behavior. Then there is kleptomania, compulsive buying, binge eating, autism, practicomania, hypochondria, and so on and so forth. Right. So on the OCRDs, you might find that they are towards compulsive, and hence they have been taken that OCRD, obsessive compulsive related disorders in DSM-5. Okay. So yeah. So impulsivity and compulsivity. So just for the residents, this is a very important statement. So predisposition towards rapid unplanned reactions to internal or external stimuli without regard to the negative consequences of these reactions to the impulsive individual to others. So now poorly conceived, prematurely expressed, unduly received. So underestimates the harm. Element of pleasure actually speech. It's very important in impulsive. So this is a typical prototype of gambler. That's why gambling is a prototype disorder in user addiction. That's why probably it has always found its place it has always found its place in the literature, and they are quite sure about what it is. But on the other hand, the compulsivity is the tendency to repeat the same, often purposeless acts performed according to certain rules, rituals, or in a stereotypical fashion. So they overestimate the harm, here they underestimate the harm. They are unpleasant and realize as pointless. But the gambler doesn't realize it is pointless. There is again gamblers fallacy and all those things there. The pleasure they seek, that is one. Again, at times their explanations are they want to get back the money they have spent. And there is again there is this high in pleasure. They get pretty high when they bet and they even betting produces high. And then obviously when they lose money, there is sudden money. But then again they convince themselves to bet again. So all those things are there in the impulsivity part. Okay. But the compulsivity, the importance of overestimation of the harm, the unpleasant, the realize that it is pointless, it is quite important. Now, behavioral addictions, impulse control disorders, and OCD. Now, the gratification, these are again seemingly overlapping, as we have talked about the Hollander's presentation and the impulsivity compulsivity spectrum. These disorders, they have a lot of commonalities. So gratification driven by immediate reward, that is in behavioral addiction. Similarity with addiction. Impulsivity disorders have certain similarity with addiction. Right. So subtypes of OCD show impulsivity. We'll see it in subsequent slides. So genetics, that's where probably OCRDs and some of the impulse control disorders are also thought about as OCRDs. Okay. And also some of the behavioral addiction are also thought about as OCRDs, have common genetics. So partially the reason why we have been put under the oxygen-related disorders, findings with 5. Okay, so genetics, comorbidities are common, repetitive behavior, invisible causing dysfunction. Now, dysfunction again, wait, okay. Even OCIDs, even behavior addictions, even impulse control disorder, depends on what kind of dysfunction and distress an individual expresses and experiences. So, overall, it is a mixed bag. Even a single disorder can have a different component of impulsive and compulsive in an individual. So, two individuals having the same disorder, they are not same. They respond to different things, they respond to different modalities, whether it is pharmacological or behavioral. We'll see about this in subsequent slides. So now, one of the research that talks about even as the slide that those were previously seen, I have shown that the OCD is this typical, stereotypical, compulsivity on the spectrum. It is the extreme compulsivity. But this shows that when the OCD spectrum disorder was studied, they could identify 3 groups even in OCD. So one of the group is impulsivity. Means that the slide only suggests that even in the extremes of the groups that lies on the extreme of compulsivity spectrum, impulsivity, compulsive spectrum towards compulsivity, also have quite significant impulsivity. Means even the purest of the disorders of compulsion, purest of disorders of compulsion, obsession and compulsion also has impulsivity. Means that if that is true, then forget about what others do, what kind of mixture, what kind of combination of impulsive compulsivity the other disorders might that have lesser compulsivity. Right. Now, impulsivity and compulsivity at different times by different researchers have been postulated to explain both substance addiction and behavioral addiction. Modeled by Kuzan and Stein states that impulsivity in initial states driven by immediate reward followed by compulsivity in the later, reinforced by avoidance of withdrawal. So now that is again one of the models for substance. that initially it is more of impulsivity and then driven by mostly withdrawal symptoms. Okay. And the liver becomes more of compulsive. And even the same model can be applied to various liver addictions. The current understanding suggests that the impulsivity, compulsivity in the context of OCID, impulse control disorders and behavioral addictions, do not lie in the single dimension at the extreme. Understand? Because all these slides was two dimensional. That the spectrum is not a line drawn on a board. It is not two dimensional. Means that there is various other combinations that are possible. It doesn't mean that it lies on this extreme or that extreme or somewhere in between. So they have a different relationship. Or what kind of relationship? This is the relationship. Impulsivity and compulsivity represent an orthogonal dimension. Now I have to look up what does orthogonal means. Because I did not know what orthogonal is. Orthogonal is what? Orthogonal is this. That is to say that by varying each variable separately, one can predict the combined effect of the varying them jointly. Means if I move one, I know the position of the other. So it's quantum physics, it's good like that. So you know this, you know the position, right? So you do not do this spin, but then it is opposite on the path in access. Imagine this being a three-dimensional space. If I know where I need the lines on impulsivity, right? I very well know what the compulsivity means. That's what the orthogonal dimension means. That if I know the position of one state or one probably side of an individual or impulsivity in an individual, the compulsivity component is known. If I say OCD, I know even if impulsivity map is there, would be pretty less, would be very minimal, isn't it? If I say dissocial, if I say borderline personality, then I know that the impulsivity would be much more than compulsivity. So if I know position of one component, I very well can predict the component or the presence or the intensity of that. So that's what the current is. They do not lie on a two-dimensional line, two-dimensional world. They do not lie in two-dimensional space. They lie in three-dimensional space. So you can actually have varying combinations, probably millions of combinations of reasons. Means two individuals who have impulsivity might not be same. The impulsivity can vary, so would the compulsivity in that individual as per the impulsivity. So does it calm all the doubts? No, it doesn't. So the DSM-5, the word addiction versus dependence. Now the word addiction originally from Latin means to bound to enslaved by. Now this is again when you use addiction. Again, it is demeaning to an individual. It is quite a bit stigmatizing to an individual. So addiction is stressed upon family, friends, and societies being included. And then, yeah, it does increase the stigma. So by doing this, by calling something addiction, because we don't have any better word, we cannot call probably screen addiction or screen dependence. We cannot call someone probably tannin addiction or tannin dependence. Probably called dependence. But dependence basically something that is being metabolized in the system, something that is causing physiological dependence. That's what we associate with. So we actually do not really have good terminology. By calling someone something addiction, we are against stigmatizing. So now issues with use of addiction framework. Only there are a lot of issues because addiction framework say you see the withdrawal because it's virtually no withdrawal with all the behavioral addictions. The conceptual heterogeneity is quite there as we have discussed before. The spectrum can be three-dimensional, everything is possible. Norms are frequently changing, different definitions are being used by different researchers. So amount of activity. So what kind of activity is the amount of activity again? Now something that was not okay before COVID is quite okay after that. Okay, so the screen time probably the family and the researchers, the people in clinics what they were restricting to or limiting themselves to is not quite there right now. They have become quite lenient, quite flexible. They have pushed back a little in advising on this matter. Tolerance is a big issue. Treatment again. If you read the viral addiction, what is being used in viral addiction? It is in a population of people those who have probably gambling disorder. You see some of the patient respond to antiepileptic motorcycles. Some of them respond to SSRI. Some of them respond to antipsychotics. Some of them respond to anxiolytics. So that it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag, and we really do not know. Are we dealing with a single group, or are we dealing with heterogeneous population in a seemingly same group? So the concept that it talks about is the lumping and the splitting. The DSM has adopted for lumping disorders together. So that if they find there will be different from each other, they can again split it afterwards. Because initially splitting they did not go for. Because if you initially split them, you might never know whether they were similar to each other or not. So yeah. So the abstinence, the preoccupation with activity, all these things in the context of substance, they're quite true. But in the context of liver addiction, it's very difficult to see and very difficult to bring. Now, what are the long-term outcomes? Now, this is a 5-year longitudinal study taking 4,000 adults. 4,000 adults, 5-year longitudinal study for exercising, sexual behavior, shopping, online chatting, video gaming, and eating disorders. What did they do? They found that most of the individuals, those were followed, those were doing all these activities, were actually doing it excessively for a very short. Means that the stability, long-term stability of the diagnosis is not valid. We say OCD is a long-term. So that can be. So that can be. Popularity is so that can be. But if someone comes to me and has probably a behavior addiction, that individual might not have addiction within 6 months. What would you do then? So the results are quite inconsistent. And the conceptual of addictions as progressive in nature, unless you treat it. They also do not fit into the scheme of other psychiatric. Right. So also considering the high rates of comorbidity, now this is very important. You see anxiety disorder, you see anxious avoidant personality, social anxiety, it's a depression. This might just be a behavior. This might just be one of the behaviors in individuals. So this is just probably I would say more of a symptom of already existing psychiatric disorder. Okay, someone has depression, someone has social anxiety, doesn't want to go out. An individual might choose to be online, might choose to be in social media, on social media and social platforms, than actually go out and so would that mean that individual is addicted to social media and probably just a coping mechanism? So these behavioral addiction might just be symptoms of existing psychiatric illnesses. So even that thing has to be really assessed and seen in an individual when they come to us for treatment. Just jumping to conclusion and giving a knee-jerk reaction that it is this doesn't make sense. Okay. So this is also a very problematic identity of social anxiety, compulsive buying, right? So this is quite common. Even eating carbohydrate, chocolates in foods, it's quite reported and common. Now, ICD-11. Gambling and gaming disorders, the disorders due to addictive behavior. So gambling and gaming have been put under this in ICD-11. So pyromania, kleptomania, compulsive sexual behavior, including explosive disorder, they are under impulse control. Hypotrichomania and extortion disorder, again, they are going with the OCRIs. Now they have again all those disorders that are thought to be behavioral addiction. Now they have gone their separate ways in ICD-11. So means again it's quite flimsy, the concept and the understanding and how they are doing it. Now it includes the ICD-11 It includes compulsive sexual behavior as diagnostic category not present in DSM. Even compulsive sexual behavior is again, to call it compulsive sexual behavior is also a problem. If you read the literature and go about it, you will realize it's compulsive sexual behavior is quite a bit of impulsive behavior. Now, then it is reckless. There is the consequences where they are not thinking about the impulsively compulsivity side, if you can put it there. So sexual behavior that is compulsive, it's probably some it's a misnomer to call it compulsive sexual behavior. Because it is what is immediate, might not use protection all the time, right? So the consequences are not properly assessed. So they put themselves in harm's way. So saying that it is compulsive again, there is a problem. Into gaming disorder, which is mentioned in this under section 3. So gaming disorder, that is in section 3, requiring more research, is been taken up as a proper diagnostic entity in ICD-11. So ICD-11 has gone 2 paces ahead, than DSM-5. So obviously, it includes a category of substance-induced impulse control disorder. Again, this is again a mind-boggling. Substance-induced impulse control disorder. Now, substance in itself reduces your inhibition. Alcohol, right? Cannabis, various substances that have been actually marketed to take, and whether they are illicit or not, we do know. They reduces the inhibition. They reduce the inhibition. So once they reduce the inhibition, an individual would act on certain impulses. Would that mean that you need to diagnose an individual with an impulse control disorder along with substance? Then what about then induced psychosis? What about induced mania? So induced mania behavior in cannabis induced psychosis, would it be impulse control disorder? So there are many questions. I think it gives more questions than answers. The current line of thinking. In summary, some of the behavioral addictions have become a concern world over. It is definitely a problem, either as symptom or existing established diagnostic entities or independent individual. Conceptual heterogeneity, modern nature of these entities, culture, and disciplinary development make boxing these disorders together difficult. Even single disorder among them responds differently in separate individuals to different pharmacological and psychological features. It raises questions about our understanding of true nature of these entities. Views and publications from proponents have been on. It is not happening. Even people have conflicting publication. Even single individuals have conflicting publication, taking different sides in their publication, but that is not happening. So, yeah. So now this behavioral additions have been heavily criticized and talked about. Okay, there are complications such as why we can't stop. We can stop. We cannot stop playing PUBG. And what about Candy Crush? So PUBG, we do talk about PUBG, but why don't we talk about Candy Crush? Because it's strictly addictive. Just that there is no violence problem. Is it something that makes it more addictive than what Candy Crush? So we have ads like this then. इतना टाइम आपको बीमार बहुत बीमार करने के लिए काफी awarded and this is world over recognized and it threatens people not to smoke at least when they are around theaters or watching films or few hours after that. That's by and far the benefit it has. But quite effective ad and quite commonly propagated, talked about TV. Probably it's been running for decades. Right. So then we also have ads running for Ambien. No one talks about this. No one talks about this. People have been losing money. The gamblers have been losing money. They're actually emptying family bank accounts. Right. On their fund rights, they have been doing it, but nothing, no one's questioning. Even the policies of the government, the policies of the lawmakers, they are not quite clear about on the issue, or they are quite divided. I would say for them something that affects the health that is visible. something that getting monitored doing their probably imaging, probably their blood parameters, probably liver enzymes, or brain. Quite an enigma still. They will not know what to do with the brain, but still, yeah. All these things, that is something there to be diagnosed and to be treated and considered as socially unique. But something that has been talked about regularly, these things we have had and they rush to the warning, the disclaimers in the end, right? This might be addictive or wrong. We barely hear it, they say it and it's finished, right? So this has been happening. So there is an inherent danger in diagnosing classifying behaviors of addictive. Classifying behaviors of addictive is definitely a problem. There's some if someone is deriving gratification from that pleasure from that, then the diagnosis that behavior addiction is a difficult thing. Unless that individual is significantly distressed about it, it causes significant dysfunction. But again, those entities do not stay informed about it. As we see, they do not have that longitudinal. It's not a big thing. The diagnosis, they are mostly transient. It would reduce the required threshold for diagnosis. Right. So if it is gratifying and if you consider it is addictive, and if you go by the social norms and what the popular culture is, then the threshold would vary. The threshold would vary from state to state, clinician to clinician, probably parent. And some parents they are good with children watching playing games and watching PUBG and whatnot on their mobile phone. Some they are so stigmatized, they are so alarmed or I would say catastrophic reactions they show also towards their children when they handle the phones that even slightest of would arouse lot of queries about addiction in their children. So such families might be coming to you. Parenting hospital, they do come to us. Parents clinic. So it would trivialize psychiatric diagnosis. It has really trivialized. इसमें self-itis स्केल बना दिया ना. Now self-itis is a diagnosis. Now it depends. Just clicking twice and clicking thrice is self-itis. Or people change their the photography, profile. That makes it problem. No, are we not mocking ourselves? We are venturing too far in getting cheap publications. We are undermining the thing that we are working in. So spread of spurious epidemics, all sorts of behavior addictions. This is also happening. What was that? Then the Pokemon Go or something like that, and then the tide for a few years back, quite conclusion, this is very important. This book I would like to refer to, and I think it's a good thing. I think that the resolution should read these things. It's very important. This is one of the most common publications cited and one of the most influential publications. It is said that phenomenological discourse is paramount in psychiatric diagnosis. It says the value system, value and psychiatric diagnosis is the book that I'm putting from. This is very important. This book actually talks about why phenomenological discourse is very, very important in psychiatric diagnosis. It talks about something called as value and judgment. Now, briefly, if I can say, yes, that the value and judgment in a society keeps on changing. And here I see girls sitting here, probably more in numbers than their boys. This was not 50 years now. I see them wearing jeans or probably masculine. It's not there 50 years back. Homosexuality was a psychiatric in the essence. It is not now. Right? We have moved away from gender identity to gender dysphoria. Isn't it? Right? So the norms of the society, the value system of a society changes. So something that society doesn't consider as a problem now means that the diagnosis system needs to change as per the norms of the society. Isn't it? Right. But at the same time, the diagnosis system should also have a kind of overarching silicon science. that something that the society says is a problem should not be made into a problem by the diagnosis system at the same time. So the value system is very important in a society. The value system would guide what kind of behaviors or attitudes they attain towards a particular. And then we have to take it, think over it, and then probably it might find its place in diagnosis, might not, isn't it? So behavioral addictions do not seem to go with the basic tenets of psychiatric diagnosis. What are the basic tenets of psychiatric diagnosis? Aesthetics. And how things are, how do they want them to be? How do we want them to be? Epistemology. Yes. How do we really want to study them? What kind of approaches do we use to study them? Are we biased in using our approaches when we study them? Ethics. Question is what we were talking about is ethics only in the last few slides. The ontology, the true nature of what is really true nature of such addictions, such behavior. We do not know. So we study ontology, we study the true nature of something, anything in this world by epistemologically. So to study ontology, study the nature of things, to study nature of things, we use epistemological tools. Now there might be different epistemological tools to study a phenomenon. So now, if I'm biased, I'm not even biased. It's not the state that. If I have a certain way of investigating something, I might be inclined to get a particular view because I am using particular methods to study something. Okay, so my tools that I use in epistemological tools that I use for ontology to understand something might affect how I understand something. Getting it? So this is very important. And pragmatics. Now practically, how it is. Okay. So grouping the OCRDs on the basis of mere objective similarities in repetitiveness and turning a blind eye to the subjective experience explanations for repetitiveness have rendered the concept superficial. For an example, even autism was considered on implicit knowledge. There are complications, you can go back and read, just because there are repetitive now, you cannot compare repetitive behaviors of autism with repetitive behaviors of OCD. You see, that's stereotypical behavior. Here, there is definite thought that is repetitive. That thought is occupying the conscious space, is ego-dystonic, it is distressing. The individual wants to stop it, then that individual engages in it. Look at the difference. Now, here the personal experience in OCD is totally different from the personal experience someone who has autism. Now, just because they look same doesn't mean that's so the subjective experience and explanation are very important in understanding of human. That is something talked about by Sadler. It is because that is very paramount in diagnosis system that we are not doing it right. We have moved away since recently. We have moved from this ideology. Okay, this way of thinking. But I think being students of psychiatry and you have actually who's groomed in particular these ways of dealing with psychiatry, you are very pleased in doing that. Have you learned from experience what similar predicaments awaits the concept of behavioral addiction? We need to see what happens to you during coming days and months. And these are the references.
So I think very comprehensive presentation by Dr. Roshan. Guest speaker generally, you're not supposed to ask questions, but I think we'll be glad enough to welcome 2 to 3 questions.
If they're earning for it, means that they're functional, isn't it? The ones who are doing it probably don't have any problem with it. The ones who are watching it might have.
Very good comments.
Just like the bartender doesn't have ideas. Or we might have ideas. I'm not guessing going into it. Suppose he's a teetotaler. Right? People they are drinking, so they might have problem, but they might not have.
epidemics. These folks, not using patches or they switch to this. So it can, like, it can be that we are able to behavior that act on. Yes.
That's a good, the paraphernalia, yes. Is the salience. Salience.
And they say that eating chocolate is not about eating chocolate per se, opening the wrapper, the foil.
That's the salience is pretty important. The salience is also covered in your ICD 10. If you see the last paragraph, all the criteria of ICD, if someone has ICD, they can read the ICD 10. The last paragraph after the criteria, it talks about repertoire. It talks about the repertoire of behavior. The repertoire is the salience. The one who takes alcohol would find the same table, same bar. He also wants the same bartender, the one who is serving him. He prefers the same band, right? He prefers the same chutney with the weight. That's capital. That's what it is. So what you are pointing at is the salience. Just the holding the cigarette and the having it, satisfied or over coffee. Even coffee is probably he sees coffee. क्या बोलते ना कॉफी लेते ही हाथ में सिगरेट की आदत थी इस तरह का कंडीशन है पहले तो अनकंडीशनल था ना right now it has become more of yes it has been conditioned to that what is it so food for thought so this happens in substance right yeah salience is बहुत important any other question
Yes. That is like the instant gratification and what we did again. And that's when I was here talk about that teams. And these minutes. And so this also had no point. How this that food are addictions. Like cooking. And also when we are talking about smoking. Practically for the back. So I think that it is not working. So how this behavior process should be replace the behavior or should we encourage the patient to take action before? Because sir, we the concept marshmallow, the famous marshmallow test was invented in Harvard. And it was that the children relay their gratification so if our concept is better, or should we try to replace because we cannot eliminate a habit or eliminate a habit, but it is advised that should be replaced. So what is better to count?
It's a complex question. It's very components, but there are many components. One is that the behavior, whether the behavior can be delayed, right, or whether the behavior can be replaced. What kind of attitude or clinician or not just a clinician, a society can have towards the young ones, and why people indulge in behaviors. One more component: why people indulge in behaviors where there are certain warnings placed on such people. Then that's the question. You see, it is very difficult to say now. If you say that no two patients of a single substance dependence or addiction are same, they're different. So if they are different, then they're the cognitive set, the mindset, the psychological set they have a particular towards a particular behavior is different from the other. Similarly, MIT is always coupled with other cognitive approaches. Some of the patients are not get asserting this. They are even asserting this. Some probably are depressed and they are using it as facility. Some have anxiety issues. Right? So you go for other mechanisms for dealing with anxiety. Right? Some have performance anxiety, so probably social phobia. How we go? No, what I mean to say is that first of all, every individual is different and it depends on what kind of psychological set that individual has. And that will decide what kind of approach you might have. One. Second, regarding billing criteria. So billing gratification is again not every individual is given to billing gratification. Not every, some of them they are able to do it, some of them they are not. But in clinical setting, if billing gratifications can really postpone the gratification and distract an individual from probably immediate consumption of something, any substance or any behavior, this is welcome in that sense. But again, the third part, we cannot really dictate what kind of social norms or social norms of society can adopt towards. I think some of the people who are from Bihar or Bihar, that is quite an important social experiment that is going on for a nearly 70 years now, the alcohol prohibition. And what it has led to. I think people those who are in mental health there, friends, families, or wherever you can meet them, their experiences, our experiences at CA, they won't tell you other. By stopping prohibiting alcohol, there is no tax coming to the government. There is lot of illegal activities going on. It has been smuggled illicitly. People have been consuming spurious liquor and wine, hundreds of them. Right. An individual who was dependent on alcohol, right? That individual, when the alcohol is not it's not available in the market, that individual is picking up more potent substances. He was probably spending 50 rupees on alcohol. Now he ends up spending what he earns every day on brown sugar. The number of acres of brown sugar cannabis has gone significantly up in Bihar in comparison to the number of patients who are getting 4 years, 5 years. So you have to understand, we cannot dictate terms to people or to societies. It is up to them how do they practice and how do they choose. Our role only begins when an individual comes to us with a distress and dysfunction that he wants to stop and he wants to leave the substance and he wants to stop. If he comes with such demands, or she comes with such demands, we are all there. Right. Some of them relapse, some of them might not, some of them will come back after that. Right. And then it's a revolving door. What I mean to say that nowadays the thing is that the taking care to the society, this concept is quite relevant in public health, but not so in psychiatry. Not so in substance. Because I cannot tell someone who takes substance that you might die someday. Don't take it. It's beyond my purview. It's beyond my I'm actually impinging on his privacy and his rights. I'm doing more harm than good. Isn't it? For an example, a patient comes to me in OPD and I look after the addiction there. So I'm in the unit. Patient is taking brown sugar, patient is taking benzodiazepines, patient is taking heavy alcohol. Now wife comes, sir, सब छोड़ दिया है, cigarette भी छोड़ दी सर. Cigarette छोड़ाई नहीं, cigarette भी छोड़ेंगे कोई ऐसा हो जाएगा, वैसा हो जाएगा. When झगड़ा होता है, he says that I take 2 cigarettes and she's like, all over me every day, and she's like bashing me right left center every time. Now, tell me, someone who was taking alcohol, brown sugar, and multiple other substances, that individual has left those cigarettes. Now he only takes smokes 1 or 2 cigarettes per day. Sir, हम खाई खाते हैं. What should be my advice? अच्छा वो भी बंद कीजिए, पूरी तरह से बंद कीजिए, छोड़ दीजिए. क्या advice होना चाहिए? Yeah, I should tell them, look, that's okay. He has stopped all those things. Now he's functional. I would rather be okay with him taking 2 cigarettes per day than actually asking him to abstain from everything. He develops transference towards me. It doesn't come back to me now, right? And then he says that I have no freedom, so I'm going to start all the substances again, not just cigarette and take everything. these are clinical decisions. These are probably pragmatic decisions. Right. So, yeah, the things are the closer you get to the forest, thinner it looks. That's how you see individuals more than you see individual trees. That's what it is.
Any other questions?
Got it. More or less.
Very good question. But it's a very complex video. How we can change some behavior with snap of a.
So my son is 6 years old. From the beginning, I think pre-COVID also he used to watch mobiles. Like I'm working and husband is working, so it was like okay, बच्चा mobile. लेकिन जब बचपन में तो ठीक है, we could set him on TV और वो देखता था, पर अभी तो मोबाइल ऑपरेट करना जान गया है. So like I knew कि मैं इसे बंद नहीं कर सकती, मैं ऐसे नहीं बोल सकती कि आपको स्टॉप. So I am like कि आप रील्स नहीं देखोगे, आप शॉर्ट्स नहीं देखोगे, आप नेटफ्लिक्स देखोगे या फिर आप गेम खेलोगे. गेम में गन वायलेंस these parameters, I don't know how right I am or how wrong I am, but it was like a compromise. मेरा बच्चा ऐसा ना सर, he is like mama I am bored. उसको किताब देती हूँ, वो पढ़ लेता 10 मिनट में, mama I am bored. So I can see कि even at his age I had this like people because मैं TV बहुत देखती थी, I can remember. लेकिन I really don't know what is the solution of this mama I am bored. साइकिल चला के छोड़ेगी mama now. Who is a child, वो ADHD नहीं है, but he is somebody who needs something to do. पढ़ाई में अच्छा है, लेकिन ऐसा ही है कि मामा में खाली नहीं बैठती, मतलब मुझे कुछ चाहिए.
That's the nightmare. That's a nightmare with all of us. I think doctor also have.
But then again, the pragmatics have to come in. You cannot say no. If you say no, there is a problem. It has to be somewhere between what is not acceptable and total no. So somewhere that is acceptable. So what the policies that you are using, the way you are tackling it is good. But I'll say you can. Someone has said, I don't know who has said, but what is life? Life is like moving from one addiction to another. That's what it is. Right. So now probably you're doing Facebook, now or Insta, and then probably now the OTT platforms are so heavily loaded with the content that you are watching Netflix and all this. We'll move on to something else if that shuts down. So that's what it is. So what I mean to say is that now we have to try and mold the children in more acceptable ways, not just acceptable ways, more healthy ways. Right. Now, how that is going to happen? Probably if your child, finds something more interesting than that game in the real world, he'll do it.
Yeah.
Anything that he's interested in.
Actually, sir, he's very much into animals. Like I have dogs and all, but I'm thinking of getting him more smaller pets that he can take care of, like guinea pigs or rabbits.
Exactly. Something like that. If someone is good at probably athletics, so they can spend time in that, and once they find interest in that, these things would cut down, ultimately go down. Doesn't it happen? If we have an exam or something that is really important to attend to, then we seriously slash down our other behavior. Something that those were not under our control before. Same thing happens. Isn't it?
So we get something more or the gadgets.
Or better way is like even I often advise family members. जहाँ बहुत ज़्यादा mobile का use and the child is not really, then there is a lot of friction in family. The child has grown to a certain age, 10, 11, 12, and there's a lot of opposition, a lot of defiance because of all these things. How to go about it? बच्चा मानता है इस टाइम एक भी चीज़ नहीं चलता है. Mobile चाहिए या फिर चला फोन. My advice is take a holiday. ऐसी जगह जाओ जहाँ मोबाइल नहीं चलता. Go for 3 weeks to a place where it doesn't work. The mobile doesn't work. There's no network. There's no network. What is he going to do? He'll play. He'll interact with you. He'll eat. He'll dance. He'll go swimming. Something. He'll go hiking. Come back. Now 3 weeks he was off. When you developed a good bond with the child, now the child is comparatively much better emotionally. He comes back. Now you reset him in a way where it becomes more accepted. Right. Now you can always bargain with the child then. Look, we went to this, we enjoyed this, and what do you want, and so on and so forth. So we can frequently go to such things. Probably every weekend we can try out exploring places. go cycling or go doing something. And then you start cutting down on the mobile and other use of that child. Right? Even the child realizes that there are other things in life. There are still exciting things out there that I can really do and enjoy than sitting at home and yeah, lying with my phone around. So you have to be, the solutions have to be pragmatic. It is not hard and fast. It cannot be. I know. Even as a parent, you cannot be. You cannot use splitting as a parent. This is bad and this is good. It's not like black and white things. Nahi kar sakte. Have to be flexible, even with your clients.
Thank you, sir, for such a thought-provoking and insightful session. I request Dr. Dhyani, sir, to kindly felicitate Dr. Roshan, sir, with the token of honor. Finally, we would conclude the session with a token of thanks given by Dr. Leena ma'am. It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful lecture. On behalf of our department, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest, Dr. Roshan sir. Thank you, sir, for sharing this beautiful presentation with us. Sir, I would like to ask you for a few words of motivation for our residents.
Managing 100 to
And SRs. She was my son. Sir was my son. Then I was his SR. It was good, so I couldn't get time to really, pull his leg. That's it. No, I don't know. At times it is too much to, some things are, they go over the board. Now, the problem I see, I don't know, motivation or what. The problem is this, that there's too much of a distraction in life. Okay. I always say, I think, sir, we jante hain, probably must have heard, probably I must have picked up from someone, I do not know where did I pick up. But mental health, psychiatry, mental health, obviously, the bigger language. That it is lifestyle, it is not profession. Mental health psychiatry is a lifestyle, it is not a profession. You have to see yourself as an objective thing, as an objective being. That what do you want to really do? What do you want to really achieve in life? If you don't have your own things sorted out, it's very difficult to actually go about doing. It cannot have issues at home, issues at work, personal issues, and those who are not really addressed. And at the same time, you intend to address those issues in your patients and your clients. Isn't it? So that is very important. So it is always, I think, we were groomed in a place, both of us, where there was nothing in 2019. We had to actually carry buckets to take water from the well in the right. And whenever the water would run in the pipes in the mornings, right? That was the thing then. Now, no one would venture to CIP in the evenings. 5 baje ke baad, everything is done. What we had was us, seniors, juniors, and the college and the patients and library and all those things. But now, you have everything. So the problem is that you have to earn something, right? So earning something takes efforts and investment from your end. If it is handed over for free to you, just served on a platter, much of it goes to waste, actually. Much of it is left over. If you yourself prepare it, probably it will valuable too. What it takes for a resident in psychiatry is that probably empathy towards the patient. Is- I think we use it too often to actually value it anymore. Right. So empathy with your patients, respect your patients, honest with your profession. And you have a lot of not just individual responsibility, you have got a lot of social responsibility too. You have got you've got lot of things to really look forward to, look up to, isn't it? So these things are very important. And as a you will be teachers one day. You're going through training now. You're going to mature. You're going to be a second year resident or a final year resident and an SR or probably a faculty. You have to conduct yourself in a way that actually inspire people. Now, that also makes a lot of that comes with a lot of efforts. It's not easy to do that. Why it is not easy to do that? Because now the world is so it's in frenzy with the social media and the avalanche of social sweetness, right? That everyone has become in a way addicted to it. That you have to appreciate someone on WhatsApp, you have to appreciate someone on Facebook, and then even people those who are becoming into the education of psychiatry or seniors or any profession for that matter, these things matter than what you really do as a professional. See to it that what kind of attitude you yourself have towards things around you, how you go about it, doing it. What should matter is that as a teacher someday, discipline should matter. Right. You should be honest with your opinions. And honesty is something in social interaction that is something that is lacking, right? Really lacking. But as a psychiatrist, I think that is something. I think recently I read an article interesting. Coming to my mind this morning. She wrote an article book, Girish Pudra's book on religion and psychiatry. So quite an interesting statement in it. And I'll end with that. Things like no one speaking doesn't make sense. So he says that the religion was actually the stakeholder of what religion explained that was not explainable. One, it explained why there were rains, why there were floods, why lightning struck, and why the lines split and the villages was followed. The religion explained it. Religion gave us society. Religion gave us tenets how to live life. Any religion. This is right, this is wrong, isn't it? So it gives us a value system, religion. However rigid we find it now, but probably it served its purpose since eternity, isn't it? And the third purpose, that the upkeepers of the religion were able to dictate people what is right and what is wrong and advise on it. Whether it is you go to mandir or gurdwaras or your churches and wherever. The gurus were there and the people, saints or good advice. So now with the advent of the modern world and virtually we have discovered everything except what is dark matter and whether singularity exists in black hole, that remains to be seen. Rest, I think, under the equating quantum physics with the laws of relativity. That remains. Rest is more or less done, isn't it? So now science explains everything, isn't it? What is the role of mental health professional and psychiatrists? Quite an interesting thought. It says that we are the people who are actually have taken up the roles of religion or the the people, the upkeepers of religion. So what do we do? We are doing the same. We are trying to explain that is unexplainable. How do mental illnesses occur? How do bringing up a child? How do attachment theories? How limiting parenting or how permissible parenting or how authoritative parenting works and how it affects. How does schizophrenia affects what happens in mood disorders? What happens in anxiety disorder? What happens in OCD? We are trying to explain that is not being explained. That is not explainable by science. We are doing that. We are telling the society what is right and what is wrong. We are telling the society that look, women who have been probably shackled for centuries, children abuse. We're talking about women mental health, right? We are talking about the impoverished population. We are talking about them. We are giving a value system to abide by in the society. And third, though not directly, but subtly and indirectly, what do we do in therapy and suggestions in clinical system to try and change an individual? So it is not as direct as how the religious people were doing, but what we are doing is that we are changing them the way we want them to, but subtle solution. So, and by saying that, stakes are really high. Such is the responsibility on your shoulders that you explain the unexplainable, you uphold the value systems of the society, and you have the capacity to change an individual. Then there was something that was worshipped probably centuries ago. You were one among those. You have the capacity to change an individual. If you have a capacity to change an individual, then probably you are really empowered to do so. But the problem is, are you really feel empowered? And the journey to do it actually has to start from yourself. You have to understand yourself, to change others, and do it. That's what it is. Thank you. Oh. So,
so proud of जाने वाले हैं हमारे बात कौन करेगा ये सारा हो तो केरल से मैम मुझे ऐसी बातें करना अच्छा लगता है जो पढ़ाई और ये बंद करो ये जो तो बकवास कर रहे हैं